everyone. Welcome to ThetaTalks. My name is Maisha and I will be joined by Sanaiyah, and we're part of the Theta Wellness, as you know. So we are here to talk and explore Theta healing because there's so many facets and aspects of it. And we'd like to share that with you so you can understand a little bit more about how you can apply it into your day-to-day lives so that you can know how it can shift and change your life as well. So this week's topic, we are going to explore people pleasing, or also known as the good boy or good girl syndrome, right? So I know when I say that, or those two words, good girl, it resonates with a lot of you because we have been called good girl or good boy, and hence as children we end up thinking that we want to hear those words of what we think is affirmations, right? Which, I mean, to kids we do think of it as that way, and we end up creating these rules. In order to be a good girl, I need to blank, right? In order to be a good boy, I need to blank as well.
Hi.
Behind
Hi.
people pleasing. So I was just doing an intro on
Oh, go
people
ahead.
pleasing. Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
so we're gonna look at that. And what I did was I kind of looked at the top 5 reasons why people please. So I was talking
Tongue
about
twister.
is I was also explaining, how we can also talk about it in terms of the good girl syndrome, or the good boy type energy, where growing up we felt that we wanted to hear that more often as children, and hence kind of realized that that is the avenue, or that's the path that we're going to take. I want to hear that I'm a good girl, or I want to hear that I'm a good boy, and hence I have to follow and I have to listen. As children growing up, we kind of learned that we need to follow the rules in order to be accepted, in order to be appreciated, and that's kind of how
Loved.
la
We learn
you're
to be loved more than
yeah,
anything,
yeah.
right?
And I think during pandemic, a lot of people realized that. I feel that that's kind of um, a, a point where people started thinking, is this really what I wanted to do with my life, or is this what other people kind of moved me towards? Right? A lot of people realized that and kind of changed careers and changed things in their lives because they realized maybe most of their lives they've been following versus really following their heart, right? Following other people.
You know, I love this topic of people pleasers because just the other day, I mean, it's like the stars are aligned or something. But just the other day, I said, you know what? I want to do like a whole series on people pleasers.
Mm,
And the reason I wanted to do this is because I think it is so connected to self love,
yeah.
people pleasing. And I've come across so many people pleasers in my life, but it took me a while to recognize them as people pleasers. Like the
Mm,
really good people pleasers, the really, really good ones, the ones who are so good at it, they people please so well that they don't know that they're people pleasing. And the
mm,
people around them just think they are the nicest people ever.
all
Like
right.
they're the kindest, sweetest people. They're like like if you have a people pleaser as a friend, you're gonna love this friend because they're always bending over backwards for you.
Yeah.
They're always gonna take things off your plate or offer to do things for you, or it always feels like they really care about you. But a lot of times, what will make you a better friend is not to allow them to do the people pleasing with you,
Mm,
because they're so caught up in the people pleasing that they don't know whether they're doing it because they want to or they're doing it because they can't imagine not doing it, not being the
Yeah.
one to have to carry that load for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And what ends up happening for a people pleaser is, even as a friend, even as a loved one, even as a daughter, whatever role they're taking in your life, a people pleaser may come across as just really lovely, really like loving and really cares about you, but then they go home and they're very resentful,
Mm.
and they feel like like you didn't really thank them or show your appreciation or acknowledge
Ah.
them. And first they'll say, oh, it doesn't really matter. That's not why I'm doing this. But over time, it starts to add up and it makes them feel kind of bitter inside, or they get very emotional. They get emotionally dysregulated. They push themselves to the point of exhaustion. They
Going out
basically
of their way for
are going
everybody,
out of the
right?
way,
Yeah.
and they go out of their way for everyone else, but then not themselves. Like they come
Mm.
last on the list.
And
And so
yeah.
they get so used to thinking about everyone else,
Mm.
they don't know how to like put the focus on themselves.
And another thing that I found, very interesting is that what is showing up a lot these days is the consequence of physical consequence. Autoimmune disease, a lot of it is related to pleasing and doing things for others versus yourself. So not
And
only,
spot on.
they may feel that resentment, they may feel these emotions themselves, but eventually they are going to get these kind of, diseases or illnesses or sicknesses that end up showing up,
Yeah, and
you
it's
know?
always an autoimmune, which is autoimmune is your body is attacking itself. Your
Yeah.
body is attacking its own immune function. Okay? And so what happens is, in the course of all the people pleasing and all the kind of resentment and bitterness that piles up over time, your body starts to attack its own self because you've basically done it to yourself by overexerting, over giving, over, prioritizing other people around you. So it's like it does show up, and I've seen this happen with people pleasers over and over again, that they develop autoimmune.
Autoimmune, yeah. And
So
also,
spot on.
yeah, and also what I've noticed also is if you end up putting, you before me, right? That idea of everybody else before yourself, then you end up limiting your potential or what you're really here to do because you end up just following what everybody else and becoming a follower versus the leader that you were meant to be or the life that you're meant to live,
Yeah.
because then you put yourself in this box that this is who I am and this is how I should be based on my role or based on other people's expectations, right? And I think that's also something that is really it's sad, because a lot of people are capable of a lot of things, but then they kind of make themselves small and don't end up living the big life or shining the way that they're meant to.
Yeah, and another thing that comes to mind actually about a people pleaser is, if you are a people pleaser, you just can't stand the idea of someone not liking you.
Mm,
It
yeah.
like really throws you off. It really bothers you. You know what I mean? Like, you're the type of person who like makes nice with everybody and everybody likes you, because you're so easy to get along with, because you tend to let everybody else make the decisions around you, and you tend to like to go along with everyone else's decision because you want to please everyone else and keep them as your friend. So if a people pleaser is in a situation where somebody's angry at them or someone is like unhappy with them, it's really uncomfortable for them. And this
Yes.
goes back to something you already pointed out, Maisha, but I want to come back around to this, is chances are the people pleaser was a child who had to constantly make their parents happy.
Mm,
in order for them to get approval, validation, love, some form of reward. And usually that reward was
Attention,
love,
even.
attention,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So you learned as a child that I got to keep pleasing my parent or parents, right? And it's actually a survival thing, right? Because you have to
Mm,
survive that situation. But you
yeah,
learn that by people pleasing, I will get attention, I will get
yeah.
love, I will get whatever I need. And that now became a default setting.
Yeah. And what is also interesting is, from what I've read up, is it's usually the eldest child in the family that tend to, be people pleasers because they're the ones who are the big sister or or a big brother who has to take care of everybody else, right? So you tend to see it a lot in the older kids. Have you seen that in your
Yeah. So it's kind
practice?
of like you've got the whole eldest daughter or eldest
Mm.
child syndrome meets the people pleaser, and you like put them two together, and you're like, oh my God, this is just a perfect storm kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely, there's that going on. And, we talked a little bit about people pleasers and friendships, people pleasers
Mm,
and children. If you talk about people pleasers when it comes to love, which is something I personally work with quite a bit in my
mm,
soulmate
yes, yeah.
magnet program and work. And what happens is the people pleaser type of love block, right? The one who has that particular type of love block will always make their partner the center of their world.
Mm,
And they will kind of forget that they exist because their whole life revolves around the partner. They change themselves to be like their partner, the people pleaser. They dress the way their partner wants them to
mm.
dress. They start like doing things that they know their partner would like or approve of. And it gets to,
Automatically, yeah. It
yeah, because they're
becomes,
people pleasing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
who better to people please to than your partner, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
one you want to like ingratiate yourself with the most, right? That's where you want to get the most love. And then what ends up happening is the partner takes you for granted.
Mm.
And often a people pleaser will find a narcissist type of partner. It's
Okay.
like, again, like they're magnetically attracted to each other. So the people pleaser has the more narcissist who then demands more people pleasing, and the people pleaser gets their people pleasing fulfilled by the narcissist who also like demands that. And so you've got this kind of like,
Loop, yeah.
yeah, this really you know
Unhealthy.
toxic
Yeah.
toxic unhealthy relationship cycle happening. But eventually, if the narcissist is happy in that situation because they like the people pleasing, they like
Mm,
the dominating of the people pleaser. But in some cases, if you're not with a narcissist and you're just with another type of guy, a different type of guy, or woman actually, then the partner will get bored and start taking the people pleasing
mm.
for granted,
Yeah, yeah,
and then either cheat or leave the people
yeah.
pleaser.
There's no personality left,
Yes,
right? It
because
gets
like,
boring, yeah.
yeah, because the people
The
pleaser is just
excitement's
like an
gone.
echo chamber, right? It's just like
Hmm.
doing whatever you want. There's no challenge. And so the people pleaser ends up heartbroken back where they started again.
And
So it's very interesting, like how they
yeah.
show up in these different
No,
aspects.
I was just gonna add, like, I had a client who is a people pleaser, and she is a CEO of a company, right? And she wants to people please her staff, right? And that's where the trouble is obviously brewing because she cannot fire anybody, right? She cannot let go of people that are maybe taking advantage of her, right? Because she doesn't want them to think badly of her, or
Right.
maybe at one point they might be abused, or that she ends up doing this, and at the end of the day her finances, right? She's not earning the way that she's supposed to because everything that she earns over and above, um she has to kind of balance it off with how she tends to people please in her business versus, earning money through it.
Yeah, I
So
mean, a people pleaser boss, by the way, will be like working for their employees rather
yeah.
than the other way around.
So it is really different dynamics. Now, what do you think is I mean, we can understand a little bit about why, right? A little bit about what's going on, but can we talk a little bit about what are the fears? Like, we talk about these people and we're like, what could they be afraid of that they can't let go of this
Yeah.
habit,
Being alone.
Mm,
Number one, they will be left
yeah,
alone.
yeah,
People will leave them. They can't stand the idea that someone would reject them or
yeah.
abandon them. And
So
a
if
lot
I
of
don't make
people
anyone
pleasers,
happy, I will be
yeah, I'll
rejected.
be rejected,
Yeah.
I'll be abandoned. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people pleasers will have abandonment issues from childhood.
Mm, yeah.
Right? So that will come up as well. Another thing that people pleasers fear is they fear well, I don't know if you want to you call this a fear, but it's like they have very low self-worth,
Mm,
right? And so the fear is, you could say it this way, is like people will see them for who they are, which is
right.
not really anyone special, right? Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
the people pleaser will have an imposter syndrome
Yeah.
attached to that. So I would say that could be something that comes up with.
Also, I think ancestral is something because, I mean, our ancestors were in an environment where they needed their community to feel safe, right? They were in caves and they were at a point where they needed other people. So hence, it's like I need to belong, I need to be
Be
part of
fit.
the community. I need to be like them, right? To be accepted by them,
Yeah,
right? And that's
which
the
is against survival.
cultural, yeah, survival.
It's survival, right? It's cultural. It's survival,
So
right?
it's conditioning based on
Yeah.
ancestors as well.
Now, for people who have people pleasers in their life, here's the tricky thing. A lot of times you'll never know what a people pleaser really thinks about you, because
Ah,
they will be
yeah.
the nicest person to you, because they want your like love, attention, acceptance, approval, no matter what. Even if they don't like you, they
Yeah,
still want you to think highly of them. They still
yeah.
want you to think well of them. So with a people pleaser, it's very hard to really know what they think about you, because they're
Mm,
pretty much nice to everybody, right? The second thing that's tricky with a people pleaser is they'll never tell you the truth,
right.
right? Because the truth might make you angry with them.
They want to tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly.
Mm,
So they will be, again, I've used the word before, but they are more likely to be your echo chamber
mm,
than really be honest with you. Like, it's
yeah.
very hard for a people pleaser to have an honest, vulnerable, authentic conversation with you, because they're too afraid of showing who they are for fear of rejection, for fear of abandonment, for fear of, like, you um, being upset with them for some reason.
So if you're in a relationship with somebody or can recognize this, right? So it's good to kind of understand where they're coming from, and maybe there are some questions that you can ask them and help them in terms of for instance, oh no, what do you feel like doing? Like getting more about
Exactly.
what is within them that they really
Yeah.
want and making them think, right?
Right. Because if you have a people pleaser partner or friend,
Mm,
they're
mm,
always going to want to do what you want.
yeah.
They're always
Yeah.
going to be like, whatever you feel, whatever you
Mm.
want, you decide, you choose.
Sounds like
It's
my
always,
husband.
yeah, but
Okay.
it's, it's in one case, that could be people pleasing behavior. In
Yeah,
another case, I don't really care as much.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? But you
Mm.
have to make sure, you have to know the difference, right? If you
Yeah,
are on the receiving end. So
yeah.
what's good is don't let them people please with you.
Mm.
Actually let them take ownership of their
Yeah,
choices, of their feelings, of their thoughts,
yeah,
like allow them to take the mask off
yeah.
without judging them, and make them feel safe.
And I guess because or we know at this point now, right? Whoever's watching this, that's where people pleasers are coming from. And if you know this, then the approach can be that way. What can I say to make them feel safe so that I can bring that, authenticity out in them,
Yeah.
right? That idea of, and with people pleasers, the question that you need to ask yourself is, what do I really want,
Yeah.
right? Not the noise that I hear around me. It's what does Maisha want, or what do I really
What
want?
matters to me, right?
Yeah.
What is it that really matters to me?
And a lot
And
of
then,
times they've never even thought about that,
yeah,
right?
they have no idea. They just think that they want to do what everyone else wants to do, and it's
Yeah.
easier that way, you know?
Yeah. You
So
know,
totally. Okay, but let's talk about, Maisha, let's talk about beliefs, right?
mm,
Of a
mm,
people pleaser,
yeah.
right? So the kind of negative beliefs that we find in a theta healing session with a people pleaser is I'm not worthy,
Mm,
not good enough, I don't deserve it, other people are more important than me, other people matter more, I must please other people,
yeah.
right? And what else you've seen? I know multiple
Other
different things.
people matter more than me, right? That is definitely there. And the beliefs of people pleaser are that in order to be accepted, I need to change who I am. Or
Yes,
in order to be accepted, I need to conform, right, to who
or
they want
love.
me to be. Or in order to be loved,
I
right?
need to sacrifice who I am, or I
Yeah.
need to, I need to be what they want me to be.
Or I will be alone, right?
Or,
So the I am alone is also a big one that comes up with people pleasers, that fear of being alone versus, understanding that that the person that they need to connect with will never make them feel alone, which is themselves, right?
yeah,
If you have you and you understand what you really want, then it's never lonely. It is only lonely when you are rejecting yourself and looking outside of you versus realizing that you're never alone when you're connected to yourself. So understanding yourself is also very important. Like I was running a Dig Deeper class earlier, and one of the students had this this belief where she was doing everything for everybody else. So people pleasing at the end of the day, and so her motivation came out of I need to earn a lot of money to please other people, right? So that's her motivation to do well financially, right? But then if you can change that to a more empowered way of thinking, it's like, okay, what if your motivation came from what you really wanted, right? Versus what other people want. So that's when she's like, oh, and her face changed, right? Her
yeah,
reaction changed because she's like, oh yeah, I said, what is a more empowered way of thinking? And she said, oh, what I want in the next 5 years. So she thought that far. I said, yeah, but bring it forward, right? What do you want in the next month, in the next, like let's bring it closer to you and start writing a list of what you want. And that's your motivation coming from within versus I need to please everyone else because it gets really, really exhausting to do that,
yeah.
right?
But that's the beautiful part about working with people pleasers is it's so amazing to see them become empowered. Like the realization, oh, I matter. Like
Mm,
I can actually choose what I want. It's like they never thought it could be that way,
yeah.
Because you've been
Yeah.
doing it for so long, you don't know it could be any other way, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or like they with a people pleasing type of session we always do I always do work with like self-worth, and I know
Mm,
you do too, right? So it's like watching someone build their self-esteem, their self-worth, and suddenly like they actually consider themselves, they love themselves, they actually prioritize. It's like a whole new way of being that they had never considered before, and it's like they can finally be happy when that source of happiness is themselves, not
yeah.
somebody else, So it is a really beautiful experience of working with someone who wants to overcome people pleasing and starting
And
to become more
I
authentic,
think
more true.
what's also important to understand is not that, if I'm no longer people pleasing, that I will all of a sudden change and become this cold person where I don't care about what anybody else thinks. It's me, and I'm, the selfish. That's
Yeah.
also another belief. It's selfish to think about myself, right?
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is that misconception that either you're a people pleaser or you're selfish, right? And when I stop people pleasing, then I will end up being this version of myself, which I may not like,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
So, and that's a myth. That's not really the truth at the end of the day, It doesn't mean that all of a sudden you'll become this evil, selfish person, but it's more about first understanding that this is something that you want to break free from. It's like you were a prisoner and now you're free. Okay. And then take the next step of let me write down what I really want and
Yeah.
understand myself before I make any rash decisions or, rash choices.
It's like a child rediscovering, like, or discovering themselves for the first time. Like that's what
Yeah.
happens when you decide to do some
I
work
like
on
that
yourself,
example. That's
right?
beautiful.
Okay, so I think we've done a pretty good job of describing the people pleaser and talking about where it comes from and why it would happen and how it shows up in different areas of your life. Let's see what the cards say.
Hey.
What did the virtue card say?
Okay. So the card for today is cooperation. Hmm. Okay,
Okay.
I think what I see with this, I'll hold it up a little bit more because I like this. Can you see the puzzle?
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's really cool. Um, is more about what I came in, honestly, with talking about is more about the people pleaser. And I loved how you talked about the person who's actually seeing the people pleaser in action. So I think it really does take two hands to clap and to understand and help each other out in terms of if you do have somebody that you recognize to really truly understand and go within and get to know, allow them or provide a safe space for them to get to know themselves. And for the people pleaser, if you or this is you and you recognize this in yourself, to take that first step to understand that, you know what, this may be me, but I can shift and change, and maybe it's more fun to get to know myself and see what I really want.
Beautiful. I love that. What came up for me, Maisha, is we don't have to be people pleasers to be surrounded by good friends and good people.
Mm,
That if we have the virtue of cooperation, we can create those same kinds of relationships where things are harmonious and
yeah.
easy and effortless because we have this virtue and trait of cooperation with other people. you know
Mm,
so it's almost like let's shift you out of people pleasing and
yeah.
into having this trait of cooperation with others so you can still maintain a lot of the benefits that you got from the people pleasing without all the negative
Oh, beautiful.
effects
I
of that.
love that. And that is something that also does come up, right? I want people please to keep things in
Keep the peace.
harmony, to
Keep the
keep the
peace.
peace. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
perfect. So this is cool. I don't think there are
Yes.
any questions.
Except if we were frozen, but I think I answered that. We should not be
Yeah.
frozen. But let us know if we are.
Okay, so if you guys want to explore a little bit more about where you're at, in terms of am I a people pleaser or not? Like Sanaya said, it may not be something that you may recognize instantly, right? And understanding a little bit more about yourself and what you want, right? And maybe some of the beliefs you resonate with. So come in and have a 20-minute exploratory session with me at the Emotional Breakthrough session so that you can really go deeper into getting on track with what your purpose is and being able to shine, right? Being able to really live your life authentically.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, so the link will be in below.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll catch each other next week.
Sounds good. See you next Tuesday at Theta Talks. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.